Voices.com, your host, the People's Pen, Bobby Marvin. Today I have with me filmmaker MK Asante Jr.
Hey brother, how you doing?
I'm how you feel, man?
Oh, I'm excellent, brother. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. I know you're a busy man. You just got back from New York not too long ago. You promote your new film.
That's right.
But first, tell me about it. You're young. How old are you again?
26.
26. How did you get into filmmaking at such an early age?
Well, you know, filmmaking is something that I always gravitated to. You know, I always thought that cinema was the most powerful medium in the world, you know. So when I was a student in college, I was interested in how to connect with people and how to reach people, you know. And cinema was one of those things. Filmmaking was one of those things that reached a lot of people, and it allowed me to tell our stories, you know, cinematically, and to get that into the community. Even people who can't read can watch films and understand. You know, people who don't read can watch films and understand. So I always thought of filmmaking as a language, you know, and it's the most widely understood language in the world.
So what sparked your interest in the beginning? Was it seeing movies at an early age? What was it exactly?
You know, it goes back to this idea of language. You know, I have all these stories that I want to tell. You know, there's so many stories in our own culture and history that I want to tell. And I always think about, okay, we got these stories. Now, what's the best way to tell them? So, you know, for me, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a poet, I'm a nonfiction writer, I'm a playwright, I'm an essayist. I mean, all of these different things require different languages. So for me, when I get an idea, I think to myself, what's the best way to tell the story? Is it a poem? Is it, you know, an essay? Is it a film? You know, is it a novel? You know, what is it? You know, and I kind of choose. So for me, when I was in school and college, I was really interested in acquiring as many languages as I could, so I could speak to as many people as I could. So for me, filmmaking was part of acquiring a new language, a language that I could connect with more people than maybe just, you know, a book of poems or something like that. It was a way to get our story out there in a way that was combining, you know, literature, audio, you know, music, sound, and also, you know, visuals, you know, because we're in a visual culture, and I myself am a visual person, a visual learner, a visual thinker. So I think film was just kind of a natural, you know, fit for me.
So what was your first step outside of school and beginning your profession? What was your first step?
Well, you know, my first step in terms of filmmaking was making films. You know, I want to just tell that to everybody who's listening. You know, if you want to be a filmmaker, you need to make films, and the best film school is making films, because you learn everything, you know, when you're actually doing it. So the first step for me, I was living in London at the time, and I hooked up with some other filmmakers there, Owen Alik Shahada in London, and Iko Mitchell in London, and we decided to make a film. And, you know, the film was going to explore the psychocultural effects of slavery and colonialism on African people all over the world. So we started making this film called 500 Years Later, which turned out, you know, to be a really big success in our community. But when we started out, you know, a lot of it, again, was just, you know, diving in and deciding this is what we're going to do. We're going to tell this story. It's going to be our story. It's going to be our voice. And this was a documentary film, and, you know, we went to 20 countries to make it. Wow. And it just was the most incredible learning experience and the most profound artistic experience. You know, one of the most profound artistic experiences that I've had the ability to have so far.
As far as for aspiring filmmakers out there,
yeah,
and anybody who aspired to be anything,
yeah,
how did you get started with the idea of networking? I mean, beginning this film 500 years.
Well, you know, with 500 Years Later, you know, and with every project that I do, you know, I think that it all starts with a plan. You know, it's really important, I think, for aspiring filmmakers, for aspiring artists, and for aspiring anybody's out there. I mean, look at what Obama was just able to do. How do you do that? Well, that's planning and strategy. You know, that's organization. So I think, you know, one of my heroes in filmmaking is Montezuma Esparza, who's a Latino filmmaker, and he was a political organizer before he went into filmmaking. And he became a producer later on, a movie producer, and he realized, he said, the thing that made him a good movie producer was he realized that political organizing and movie producing was basically the same thing in terms of strategy, organizing large groups of people in order to, you know, complete a certain mission or objective. And that's what filmmaking is about too. You know, obviously, you know, you have these ideas, you want to achieve your art, you want to tell this beautiful story, but if you're going to be a producer, you have to think about, okay, how am I going to get this done, you know? So that means reaching out to people, not being afraid to reach out to people, working with people. Film is a collaborative business, you know, it's a collaborative medium and art form. So you have to be comfortable collaborating with people, and sharing with people and listening to them, you know. Film is not a one-man show, so, you know, there's just so many people involved, and I think the first step is coming up with a plan, you know, coming up with a plan. For screenwriters, the plan is the script, you know. For documentary filmmakers, you know, you need a treatment, you need an outline, and you need to go about achieving that, you know. So really coming up with plans and then attaching the right people, you know, people who you want to work with, people who have the same kind of work ethic that you might have, you know, because you're going to need a lot of work to get it done.